Hey Archer,
Hey, what's up, man?
how are you?
Exhausted,
Yeah,
but excited for the deadline.
yeah. So what was the call before you had? Um, you had something with another CEO?
Yeah, so I had a call with this Dr. Evidence company, which apparently has been building the search engine for medical use cases for like 17 years or something.
Oh wow.
And basically, it's not clear how we should or can collaborate, but to the very least, I got a commitment from them to be our resource. For example, if there is something that we are communicating to the world that it makes sense from the scientific standpoint, from the medical standpoint, and basically has an extra validation before we put it out there.
Oh wow. Yeah. Um, with the medical communications team we were putting together, that would definitely be a great way to kind of coordinate with them.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
All
Okay.
right, so notebook. Here's how I'm thinking about it. If we nail it for risk factors, we can give the manual for to other teams. So we really need to do it today.
Yeah. Alrighty. Um, are you
Tell
gonna
me what you think. I'm recording already.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. So what I'm thinking is that it's very important for no matter whatever task we are doing, to nail out a general workflow for or a general schematic methodology for how we're doing things. That's the most important thing that the audience, the Kaggle audience, will be looking at. So yesterday night, I constructed a little workflow diagram that kind of explains what we're going for. Um, let me share my screen and kind of
Mm-hmm.
showcase that. Let's see. Okay. Alrighty. So so my general workflow is starts with somebody inputting a risk factor. Okay, and from this one risk factor, let's say it's like heart disease. Um, what our program will do first, we will have a piece of code that produces n-gram synonyms. Like it'll run through a medical dictionary, and then it'll get a output a list of synonyms, and then from that list we search for relevant keywords in papers, and then output a list of relevant papers here. And then once we get those list of relevant papers, the one of the most important things we have right now that has not been automated is getting a verification of papers. And that is where we are currently employing annotators right now, but we hope to automate this process by getting generic suggestions from MDs and incorporating them into algorithms. And then once we do that, we have a few golden papers that are identified. So our whole vision is have a few super relevant papers over just a general descriptive statistics. I think Maya explained it as a lot of other Kaggle notebooks are just taking the all papers that have matches and just kind of generally like pull some
Yeah, like
statistics.
dumping the list, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah. But what we are trying to do is find, even if it's just top 10 papers, um, that they will have specific results for doctors to use. Doctors don't want glittering generalities. They want very specific results on the risk factors, something they wouldn't be able to search for in a regular Google search. So that's kind of our general goal.
And I think what would be super helpful
Mm-hmm.
is kind of the part of that golden paper that brings the most aha for researcher. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, like specific, probably paragraphs in that golden paper.
Something that made the MD identify this as a golden paper.
So for that, we have started a little, almost like an experimentation using the annotation team that we're gathering. Um, what we did, we listed all of the papers that we have predicted, and what I told them is basically look through the abstract of the paper. If you see any kind of correlation that's like, for example, if you're doing population density, if they find any correlation like population density influences this infection, or population density is correlated to, then they mark that as a yes, and then they comment like, this is the keyword that we saw, and that is what influenced our decision. Or these are the certain words in certain contexts that we saw. And if we combine all that together and put that into an algorithm, then that will definitely be, that's definitely what we're shooting for. That's our golden hypothesis.
Yeah, the explainability of golden papers is extremely important. Do we have that in some sheet already?
Okay, so yes, I've started putting together a list of like all of the, okay, so here is um, kind of what I'm using for annotations here. So I got the URLs here that we're predicting. Then I got the predicted risk factor. This is what our algorithms are right now pointing to. These are all population density. And we already have some annotators working on this. We got, does it fit? Yes for one. And then here's some reasons why not. Um, if it doesn't fit, or they would put a reason if it does fit. If there's like a definite pattern. I think they've already started. And then when we collect all of those reasons, then we can put those into generalities and then construct an algorithm. That's our plan for now.
That's amazing. So do you think we can, like, what is the amount of papers that we have so far for each? Let's get back to that general. Remember, you've done the diagram of all the pieces that we have in risk factors. Can you open that?
Okay. All right. Oh, it's okay. It's all right here. Okay. So
Yep, this one. So do we have, can you put numbers?
for all the ones, oh,
go ahead.
Okay, so for now we have these 4 categories. Right now, though, we have way too many papers for outputs. So we're even as we speak right now, a couple of our programmers are rerunning the outputs with much more specific keywords, specifically related to COVID. So we will get a lot less numbers for population density right here. If I did put a number, we have 95 and 93 so far. Okay, and once I get the distinct number of URLs, I'll start updating this diagram, and then yeah, we should be good there.
Yeah, I mean, even having 100 papers for 4. Wait, why is it 4? So I have environmental, age-related, demographical, disease-related.
Yeah, we also have like genetic and stuff, but we just didn't have the time to like
okay.
Yeah.
So 4 times 100 for 100 papers. Let's assume it takes person what, like 5 minutes to annotate one?
Usually it should be under 5 minutes.
Okay, so that's 2,000 minutes, which is 33 hours for one individual to do that. And we have how many working on this?
Okay, so our annotations team is currently 15. The only problem is that they're all, most of them are working on a task for VT. So probably we're looking at getting maybe 5 from that team if we can't get all 15. So I also sent out in the needs request coordination channel, I sent out a need for more annotators.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I mean, 33 hours, even if we have, let's say, 5 people working on this, that's 6 hours per each
mhm,
person. That's a lot of time. Again,
yeah,
like, let's imagine that person can spend 2 hours, right? Like,
mhm,
reasonable amount. That's 60 people that we need to cover all four. Again, if we reduce from 100 to 50, that significantly simplifies it. So
yeah,
I guess that's the core goal, to reduce from 100 to 50 at least.
mhm, yeah,
And yeah,
yeah.
meanwhile,
Mhm.
we can obviously make a push, and I can email people with the medical background to see if they can help. What I need for that is a very specific, like 2 sentence description of what has to be done. Do you
Okay.
have that?
Yes, I do. Let me have it in my slacks here. Okay. Right here, I kind of have a process outlined, just to show what the spreadsheets look like, and then I have kind of like an if-else kind of flowchart related. I can even put this into a flowchart, but from
No,
description,
text is
read.
fine.
Okay, text is fine. So
Can
read,
you
read
put that into a Trello card, somewhere like main board or something?
main board. Okay, alrighty, I can do that. Um, Yeah, so five-step process shouldn't be that bad, and hopefully it takes less than 5 minutes, including commenting too. I think the commenting is probably the most important part though. So we definitely
Yeah,
don't
the
want to.
reasoning.
Yeah, the reasoning is basically why we have this annotation going on. So if that does take over 5 minutes, but we definitely need that, and we will definitely shorten the amount of papers we have on a rerun. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so yes, your flow makes 100% sense. I think that's the golden nugget of the notebook submission. How do we frame it?
Let's see. Okay, so what I was thinking is if I go back to the Kaggle notebook here, um, over here we got task overview. I have a feeling, I think our methodology should be kind of up here. So I say probably start with the diagram, and then Maya has had an amazing explanation of each of the nodes in my diagram, like getting the risk factor from the how to predict the methodology behind producing the n-gram synonyms using the medical dictionary and stuff. And then what I was also thinking of is putting like a case study of sorts. So we have one code that demonstrates producing the n-gram synonyms. So
Yeah, so that people can better understand, because the first time
yeah,
Mark introduced this n-gram process, I was like, what? But then he showed the example, and I was like, oh, this is what you mean.
yeah. What I want to do is I want to showcase each of these 5 points in action. Like produce n-gram synonyms. Well, what code is doing that, and what is the details of that code? And then next, search for n-grams in papers. Which code does that? We have codes for each of these. So definitely just putting this into like a pipeline format, one after the other. That should be one of the categories on our Kaggle. That is um, kind of like more vertical alignment rather than horizontal alignment by, okay, here's our heart disease one, here's our
Yes, and I actually think that will be way better than, including 5 of these. And we can always link to the individual notebooks that do it for each of those.
correct.
The task risk factors, I mean, like dash something, dash heart disease. And that's a separate notebook and very easy for people to find. But in the main one, we keep it to one that makes the most sense. And I'll let you tell me which one. If it's heart disease, then let's do it. Like, which one has the best kind of.
Yeah, so I think, okay, so we had one person find a way to produce n-gram synonyms for risk factors for diseases. They use like an international classification of diseases to produce tokens. So I believe heart disease is the best one to go for. we have all the parts for heart disease, I believe. Maybe a little bit of human input at the current moment, but it's so close to being completely automated.
Okay, so how about we prioritize annotators to finish this one first of all? How
Heart
many
disease, yeah.
papers do we have?
That's one of them that we have to rerun the outputs for. So
That's
I'm
the
not
one that has 400 papers or something?
heart disease. Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but it definitely came out to over 1,000. So we're definitely gonna have to rerun the outputs on that one.
And do we know how soon we're gonna have results?
So I think our coder said at the most 5 hours. So, but he's also in Indian time zone, so I don't know exactly where he is on that. And I think someone else is helping him coordinate that. So I really need to get on them.
Okay, so this makes sense. We're taking heart disease risk factors as a case study for the task overview and our methodology. Here's the piece that is missing from this kind of a high level overview.
Okay.
We need to explain how we reached this conclusion that this process works and like this process makes sense, because it sounds like a legit process, and people that will see the results and will pay attention will deduct that it makes sense. But we need something that explains how we reached it empirically, and what was the input and direction of MDs and other people telling us that. Because if you open the risk factors notebook that I've initially created, there was an initial exploration, right, that led
Yes.
Maya to fill out all the like risk factors, all the things, and then MD came and said, you know what, even though it makes sense and you can possibly try and hit hundreds of different risk factors, it's probably not worth at this stage. And if you can help me better understand like heart disease ones and like pulmonary diseases ones or something like that, it would be much more helpful. So
So maybe like an outline of our ideas and the MD input response, something like that. Huh. Okay. Almost like a timeline format. That's pretty interesting. I joined task risk only later, so I'll probably have to get more information on that from Maya. But yeah, definitely that's very important.
So
We
I
can
can
put that.
fill you in on like very beginning is what you're seeing here, right? This
Okay.
establishing of basic taxonomy, things like there are groups of risk factors, which is, quite a big accomplishment to even divide those into groups, because
Yeah.
there is no single place on the internet where you can see all the risk factors. Like there is none.
Oh, wow.
And that's a crazy part. So we had to like search, Google, read scientific papers to come up with that full list. And then once we show, and that part that happened in Maya with Randall and Ruslan Olinik, MD, that part has to be extracted from Maya. But my general take is that she showed them this giant list of factors and they just cherry picked, what resonates to them.
Yes. I remember there were two copies of a risk factors categorization. One of them was like very simple, and then one of them was MD enriched. Um, I I could see like a definite like difference in those two. So yeah, definitely highlighting how the MDs get categorized them, and like how what the reasoning behind some of the less obvious ones also are definitely be great.
Because there was a reason why Randall prioritized heart disease and age-related stuff. And we have to communicate why. It's not just because, like his primary research is that, like it's because he has some intuition.
Okay, here's something about another project I did for task risk. So for I was doing quality assurance for each of these metrics, like for example, heart disease. And then I did some searches through a Thresher to find out like
Oh
the number
yeah,
of times, yeah, the
relevancy.
occurrences.
Yes. Okay. So that's a huge one. That's a great one that Maya even had a document was percentages. Have you
Yeah,
seen
a
that?
spreadsheet. Let me see. I think, let me see if I have that. Risk factors. Okay, let me try this one. No, it's not this one. Yeah, but oh, good.
Okay, I found it.
Oh, you found it. Okay.
Sorted list of risk factors. Here it comes.
Here, I'll let you share it.
All right. Can you see it?
Yes, that
Even
one.
even has a date, which is great.
Yeah.
So this is great to visualize the fact that we've done this groundwork of making sure that there is relevancy of topic to paper,
mhm.
and basically like all the risk factors that we identified. Hold on, my computer is freezing. Let me stop sharing.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, so
Mhm.
all of these diseases, all of these risk factors grouped by a high level group,
Mhm.
she or you or whoever did the actual categories, like somewhat unpopular, unpopular, and all of that. So putting that is great. And that was before the MD input, right? So we gave this to MDs and they took basically the relevancy and relevancy to them, like through their prism, and told us what to focus on.
Are you sure? Wait, this was before MD input? Because this looks like the final list. There was another list
This
that was much shorter and much less comprehensive than this one.
Okay, so there was a first list that Maya started. Then I jumped in and said that we need to expand the knowledge base to understand what
Okay.
is out there in terms of things we don't know.
Mhm.
Then she expanded it, and then she discovered Thrasher and started enriching it. And then
Okay.
after that, she got MD input, and there was a new document called NLP Flow or something. Let me find. NLP task workflow. Let's see if this is the
Okay.
one. I have too many tabs, man.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yes, so this is the document that was edited after that initial relevancy
Mhm.
assessing. So she had calls was Ruslan and Rendell, and they identified that these are the risk factors to focus on. So it's
Oh,
almost like we created a full list, we enriched it with relevancy, and then we gave it to MDs to prioritize.
okay. Yeah. I also have like a spreadsheet with some specifics on that too. Mind if I share?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Okay. Um, okay, so I had kind of spreadsheet with all the risk factors and like some of the keywords that were used to thresh, as well as number of articles and percentage.
Nice.
So I don't know if it's finished yet. I think there might be a few things that haven't been finished yet. But if we could do like a plus would be doing a visualization on this, kind of like a bar chart or something like that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
then it'd be helpful to see some of the demographics, or no, some of the risk factors that had the highest relevancy in papers, like for example, heart disease. And that
Because
would probably,
honestly, this is also super valuable information that no one has shown.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and it would definitely justify us picking out certain ones and then analyzing them close up. So um, definitely the risk factors categorization of visual would be very helpful. So
Yep. Okay.
okay.
What else? I mean, if we can accomplish that, I think that's huge. Basically,
Okay.
what like the very beginning, bridging with the mid step that Maya took over, then the piece that MDs added, and then basically the workflow that you visualized in terms of the starting from the risk factor.
Yeah. Okay. I was looking through some of this,
We should
and
probably remove some of the stuff from
yeah,
here.
is this, oh, periods of disease. I don't remember us doing anything on this, anything like that.
We haven't had a chance.
Yeah, this could be probably something we go through for our June submission,
Mm-hmm.
probably.
Basically, the reasoning of the fact that risk factors are different for different stages of disease.
Right, right,
That's another dimension that we just haven't had time to focus on.
right. Okay, so this one is pretty interesting. Types of problems here. Is this types of problems are like problems that we have with our approach, or problems that we can take to the next level in our approach?
So this was attempt to show other teams, because remember, this notebook was created by me to show other teams how to kickstart the process. And this was
Oh.
created just for the purpose of them understanding like what type of machine learning problems we're dealing here, what type of NLP problems we're doing. Because some people that were joining tasks actually had no idea what are the typical NLP problems.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I think we can take this piece and move it to the main notebook, the actual main one,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
because yeah, it has nothing to do with the risk factors really. It served the purpose when this notebook was created, but it's not here to stay.
Okay. But segueing into that, there are some things in our reasoning that some people some people might have like they might see downsides in. So for example, one MD came to me and said, you're looking for really specific papers, but some of the keywords that you may be using are maybe a little too drilled down, and they do not embody like some of the actual more common keywords that are present. So they're like, for example, like, some people might think that general is better than specific. So definitely um, identifying some common criticisms of our problem, and then explaining why we thought that our approach is better. We should have
I
like a
think
section.
objections section,
Yeah.
like basically if you want to disagree, you go to this section and you check if we already answered that question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, we
So
can call it FAQ for
fake you.
not to
Yeah.
trigger anyone.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, oh, do we put progress up? We put like all our video calls on it too?
I mean, we can. I think that's too much. Maybe we can link to a Trello card with the daily calls in there, just like an external
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Like if
And maybe,
anyone wants to explore that, they can.
okay. Um, okay, so do we have like a generic video of like maybe like a small 3-4 minute kind of thing of what task risk is all about?
We don't. Um, and yeah, I was planning to address that within that post-submission webinar. But now you're saying that, and it kind of makes sense to create it. Um, but
I
yeah,
mean,
I'm
with the
not
time
sure.
we have, I definitely understand. We probably can't, but
Yeah, most probably we won't be able to do it.
yeah, I was just wondering if we did have it in some of our archives or somewhere.
No.
But yeah. Okay, so I'm not exactly in the loop about what kind of visualizations we currently have, especially with the geo team right now. So
So for the risk factors, and there is a call that discussed the potential integration. It's like a 10-minute call that you can check out. But to give you a quick sync on that, there is the environmental risk factors, right? And what's the other one? The age-related risk factors. So those
okay.
two were picked as the ones to include appendix in terms of the geodata. So just, whenever we present some age-related findings, we can also include the little appendix, which is, by the way, here is, the population density for, Italy, South Korea, and United States. And here are the age distributions and, population density and other things. So basically, not directly connecting it to any of the papers, but enriching and making the submission more powerful in terms of the value.
Oh, okay. Yeah, kind of like confirmation. So I'm assuming for environmental, we're using meteorological data. We got temperature and humidity probably, which are the core factors for that. And then I'm pretty sure TaskGeo has demographic data that we could use to kind of like support that. Okay.
So let's expect that there are two appendixes, one for demographics and one for environmental risk factors. And like if we will have time to produce those visualizations, that's great. If not, those will be empty.
Yeah. Okay. That would be fine. Okay. Yeah, I think that's about it. Get a kind of like workflow and like a case study, each of the steps in code, and then links to each of the Kaggle notebooks for as far as categorizations, groups, factors, include percentages of like relevancy in papers. A visualization would be even better. Update this list with the ones that, with our final ones that the MDs have put input into. Okay, I don't think we need all of this. Archive some things we don't need, and then appendixes, and I think that's basically what we have here.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Okay, so not sure how much time you have today, and just let me know what to expect in terms of potential help with this. I would like to accomplish this today. I mean, whatever it takes, because we need that tomorrow day to send it to other teams to, get some inspiration. But yeah, like, let me know.
Okay, yeah. So my personal blocker is I got like some exam to do for for college, and then like getting these outputs, getting these rerun outputs. After that, I think it'll be pretty much smooth sailing, and then Maya and I will finish writing up. We've already kind of split up what we're gonna do. So we should have something by tomorrow. That is going to be my operation for today.
Okay, so let me ask you for a small commitment that to help me offload as much as possible from you. If you can take this video and basically all the things that we've reached conclusions on and create this kind of table of contents, the new one, not the old one. Actually, you can go into Notebook and just create that new one in there, or you can send me a text form of that. And I'll basically, I'll try to dedicate as much time as possible today to offload the write-up piece from you. And then whenever you become free, you can actually fix some of the wordings and the flow. How does that sound?
Awesome. Awesome.
All right.
Okay.
Perfect. Let's do it, man.
Let's do it. Just my thought. Alrighty. Take care.
All right. Thanks, man. Bye.
Bye.